Joining us right now, Lanny Davis, former Clinton White House counsel, of course, author of Crisis Tales, and a good friend of this show. Lanny, thanks for joining us this morning.
Good morning, Larry and Brian. I happen to be calling you from Sibley Hospital, where I spent a very pleasant evening drinking liquids and committing myself to your show by not canceling.
Oh, my gosh, you're under the weather? Are you okay, Lanny?
Well, I'm fine. It's just a little bit of a complication of a medical procedure, but it just makes me believe in the vast right-wing conspiracy that must be responsible.
Yeah, somehow I knew we would be responsible.
Well, listen, last week when you were on the show, we talked about your efforts in working on this Benghazi Select Committee. You're going to be heading up an effort to sort of do fact-checking and things like that. And as so often the case when you appear on Mornings on the Mall, Lanny, we made some headlines, and people were talking about your appearance here and writing about it on the Internet. And I wanted to just get some clarification on one fine point here. We had talked about some of the groups you were working with, and you said you used the term you were going to be working with this group, Correct the Record, and people have taken that, and I even wrote about it once, and I said that I used the word you were partnering with them as a synonym for working with, but we just want to clear that up. They're not your business partner in any kind of legal sense, right?
Exactly, and thanks, Larry. First, I've been independent as a voice, and I'm proud of that because no one tells me what to say, and I say what I think and have fun on this show because you let me do that. Secondly, I'm completely happy with working with Correct the Record and other organizations, but most importantly, the Senate Intelligence Committee and the Republican-led House Armed Services Committee, which wrote detailed reports after detailed investigations. And so wherever I can get the facts, Correct the Record is an organization that I love. It's an organization helping Hillary Clinton. They help me with facts, but I also look for facts elsewhere. But most importantly, I'm not being paid by anyone. I'm just a volunteer, and it's what I do, facts, 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 and I'm not going to be attacking anyone. As I said last week, I don't use adjectives. I don't impugn people's motives, and the Republicans have a right to investigate. I think they're making a political mistake, but they are certainly entitled, with 4 Americans dead, to take the extra mile or 10 miles and investigate this all over again.
All right, so since you say you are a Democrat, but you are volunteering, is it safe to say you call it a truth squad? Could some look at this and say, well, really, it's just a spin operation?
Well, it would be a spin operation if I used adjectives and character attacks and all sorts of stuff that goes on in politics, but I'm pretty well known for sticking to facts and asking people, are my facts wrong? If they are, I will change what I've said. And I've said to the members of the committee who are Republicans, now I'm glad the Democrats have joined, let's all try to agree on the facts. If you read the 83-page Senate Intelligence Committee report that all the Republicans signed on to, they wrote their own separate section where there was disagreement, you would be amazed, Larry, at how much there was agreement. Senator Chambliss is the ranking member of the Senate Intelligence Committee, and I hope everybody reads that report, plus the report by the House Armed Services Committee. That's really where we're all getting our facts from, and I suspect that Mr. Gowdy will find the same facts found by his fellow Republicans in the Senate and on the House Armed Services.
You made a passing mention of the fact that Democrats have now decided to join this conversation. They're going to be in the hearing room. Nancy Pelosi picked 5 Democrats. And notably, the one that sort of stuck out to me was Elijah Cummings of Maryland, who has been very, very aggressive in his clashes with Darrell Issa over at the Oversight Committee.
You know, Elijah Cummings is a longtime friend of mine, and both a political and spiritual leader in Baltimore, and a man with a great sense of fairness. I actually know personally that he and Darrell Issa get along and have high regard for one another on a personal level. The political clashes are inevitable and unfortunate, but I think Elijah Cummings speaks with dignity, and I think Mr. Gowdy, in the first reaction, also spoke very respectfully, and that's a good start for both of them.
And so you're happy with who the Democrats have picked?
Yes, especially Elijah Cummings from Baltimore, yes.
Now, what was interesting to me was Nancy Pelosi said that this committee, originally Nancy Pelosi had said that she was flirting with the idea of not participating at all. Yesterday in her press conference, she said, we tried to make this as fair as possible. The Republicans refused to make this a fair committee, and that's why we have to be a part of this committee. So what was the rationale for ever suggesting they weren't going to be a part of it? Because if it's not fair, they have to be a part of it, but if it was fair, they also would have to be a part of it. So they were always going to be a part of it, weren't they?
There was serious, I've had conversations with members and leaders in the House, not Speaker Pelosi, but others, and there was serious argument in the caucus against doing this because it would dignify what some regarded as a very partisan exercise. Mr. Gowdy, I believe, will try to be fair. He ought to allow the Democrats to participate and at least be consulted with on all decisions. And I think fairness is the watchword, which is why Elijah Cummings is going to be so good, because I think he will work well with Mr. Gowdy if they are fair and if they consult, and if there's a collaborative exercise in finding out what the facts are, which is really going back to your first question to me. I don't think there's a Republican that should feel threatened. Words can be thrown at me like spin and that kind of thing. If I say anything that's untrue, or if I correct something that I shouldn't correct, then I expect to be corrected myself.
Oh, yeah. We will, Lanny. We will.
Don't worry.
Of course,
Yeah.
Of course.
You can count on us, Lanny.
Hey, Lanny, real fast, on the VA, do you think that there should be a bipartisan committee to investigate what's going on at the VA as well? Because
absolutely. It's an outrageous concept that people who serve our country come back and have to wait on medical care, and then there appears to be a pattern of at least playing with the truth about waiting times and the data, et cetera. I'm very, very upset, as most Americans are just in disbelief. I just hope it is a bipartisan exercise. General Shinseki is a great patriot and has had a great career. But this is the man who's in charge has to be held accountable.
Yeah.
And he seems concerned. But to make it short here, yes, I believe in a bipartisan, and it's needed, and I think President Obama rose to the occasion yesterday by taking it seriously.
Lanny Davis, in a hospital room calling in
That's
to join us
dedication
today.
right there.
And by the way, I am glad you're part of America's private health care industry right now, getting the very best care in the world, as long as it stays private, because, once it goes public, who knows? Well, could lose Lanny Davis. That would be a bad thing.
I refuse to make political the fact that I'm in a hospital room, other than it shows my commitment to this program, and it's such a popular program. I swear that every time I'm on once a week, I get more feedback, and it's usually positive.
Oh, and so do we, Lanny. So do we.
And you get the negatives for having me on, so that's what we're in, but I appreciate that you guys give me a chance.
Lanny, feel better.